No. Just be happy now because we're about to be live. And if there's a mistake, don't worry about it. I told you I got kicked out of my own stream. Hello, everybody.
No. Just be happy now because
this is Dr. Jessica Ash.
And if there's a mistake, don't worry about it. I told you I got kicked out of my own stream.
Hang on a second. Okay. Dr. Jessica Ash here, and I have the honor of speaking with Oluwakemi Ohi-Ojebuovboh.
Yeah.
Almost?
Yeah. Almost. Almost. Yeah.
And we're talking about female entrepreneurship in Nigeria. So if you'd like to start by saying your name right,
okay.
That might get rid of my embarrassment. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. So the pronunciation of my name is Oluwakemi Ohi-Ojebuovboh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I will keep trying. I'm a linguist, so I'm always trying, and I'm always patient with. Some people tell me, "Oh, my English isn't that good," or they're embarrassed about their accent, and I always say, "Well, your English is better than my Swahili or my Punjab or my Farsi."
Yeah.
So, thank you for speaking English today.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, so start by talking a little bit about the business that you started.
Okay, so my company name is PB Essentials, and the full meaning of PB Essentials is pre-packed baited. So in my 8th month of pregnancy, I realized I didn't have my baby things. And I wasn't in business then. I wasn't doing anything. So if I was thinking, if it took me that long to be able to get my baby essentials, then how much more people that work in offices and they didn't have time to be able to get their needed essentials. So it just occurred to me like, this is something I could do to help other people. And that was how it all started. But I liked the fact that pre-packed baby essentials, when you shorten it to PB Essentials, it has a nice ring to it. So that was why I just decided to keep going on with the PB Essentials. But I then started making baby hampers and new mom hampers, and they were so nice. People really loved them. But I started to think like most of the people here that really would appreciate things like that are probably people that would travel abroad, probably to give birth. And then it was like the things that I package for them are things that they will see in abundance when they travel abroad. So what do I have to do to make mine unique that I know once they get abroad, they're not going to find it? So the idea of the Afrocentric fabrics, that's the Ankara fabrics, started to come in. And then I realized I could do nursing covers with the Ankara fabrics. And then it just moved on from there. And okay, why just stick to just mommy and me? I mean, mommy is going to have like, maybe the baby has a younger sibling or daddy's there. So why not just make it all inclusive, like let everybody get a piece of the action? And that was how it all started.
Wow. I have to tell you, you really are an inspiration to me, because when I was 8 months pregnant, the last thing on my mind was starting my own business. and I'm just so impressed that even very pregnant, you were able to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, thank you.
So talk to me about the challenges to starting a business in Nigeria.
Okay, so I don't know, maybe I can be plain. I have an issue. I don't think it's just starting a business in Nigeria. I think it's starting a business anywhere generally. For me, I think it's a thing of the mind, because whatever you tell yourself that you can't do, You will do. But once you tell yourself you can't do it, I don't care how many schools you go to, I don't care how many coaches coach you. The moment you say, I cannot do this, you are not going to do anything. And then there's always the issue of starting. We're always waiting for the perfect time to start something. But the truth is, there's never a perfect time. There's no such thing as a perfect time. Start now. Start where you are. So now, I don't know, maybe that question might be a bit tricky for me because you said challenges in starting a business in Nigeria. I think the starting point for me is yourself as a person. What are you passionate about? I think the most challenging aspect of starting any business is people finding out what they're really called to do. Now, so many people will just sit down, oh, I'm tired of my life. I've tried this, I've tried that, and it's not working. And already is a challenge to them. That's not supposed to be. Anything that you're going to, okay, fine, yes, business. The first thing people think of when you're talking about business is money. Forget it. Everybody wants to make money. So when they say business is, oh, what can I do to make money? But you cannot take the passion aspect out of it. You have to do something that you love doing, because entrepreneurship is not something that you jump into today and then get out tomorrow. I don't coach people for business like, okay, let me just see something I can do for the next 2 months. If you're starting something, think about where you see yourself in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, 20 years. So the sustainability of that business is more important to me than you even starting the business in the first place. So being realistic, yes, entrepreneurship challenges that you're going to have, number one will be funding. So, okay, yes, I already have I have a brilliant idea. Where do I go from here? I don't have anything. I don't have a capital. I don't know where to go from here. I already have a wonderful idea, and it's seeming like nobody's listening to what I have to say. So I think the major challenge is funding. Yeah.
And how did you get your funding?
Okay, so I started with, you have to start where you are. So that was where I realized I was just like everybody else. We're all looking for, oh, somebody's just going to knock on my door, and then I'm just going to open that door and they'll say, oh, here's a check, go start this business. I mean, it will not work. It doesn't work that way. So yes, now you already have an idea. It might be very rough. Try as much as possible. First thing, try to put it in black and white. Get a pen, get a paper, and just put a structure to it. This is an idea that I have in my head. And then just make a plan first. Now, you're Jessica. I have a business idea. You have the money that you can use to support my business. But if you don't see this business going anywhere beyond this year, no matter how take your money and throw it away, it's your hard-earned money. So whatever anybody's going to invest in, they have to see a future in it. They have to see that this person knows exactly what they're doing. So you have to get that in black and white first. Make sure that you have it like laid out. Now, how did I start mine? I had so many ideas. And trust me, anything you think you're saying now, I haven't even started scratching the surface. I have not started, trust me. So now, I went from getting prepared baby essentials, which is basically anything I could get in the market. And the good thing was that I found a kind of business that I could use your money to start. So all I just needed was to explain to you, you don't need to go to the market. Don't worry, I would take the stress off you. I would deliver everything but the baby. And then you go, oh, wow, that's so cool. That's nice. Okay, let me give it a try. And then I tell you, oh, this is what the package costs. And you say, okay, no problem. Obviously, you know you're going to pay. So it's going to be a pay before service. And then the way those kind of things work is you start with family members. You already know who you are. they already have an idea of, at least they can vouch for it to a large extent. So you start with immediate family members. And then when you start doing it from there, they realize that, oh, this is so good. And there's something about your family members knowing that I have somebody in my family that can do something. Everybody wants to show you off. So the next thing is, the next time somebody else is saying, oh, I'm so tired, I wish I could go to the market. The next thing you see is, oh, I have a family member that does something. You're already beginning to branch out. And that's how it starts. Now, the major challenge I had from the very beginning, okay, so I have a very supportive husband, which I cannot take out of this. In fact, if I say today, I wake up today and I say, I want to start selling sand, he won't even ask me why. He will just go ahead and push me. And I think that's another thing that you need. You need a very solid support system, and you have to look for it. If it's not immediate, you just need to have something or someone that just believes in you no matter what. So what I wanted to do was, okay, I needed to shift from doing the regular packed baby things to the, we call it Ankara fabrics, by the way.
Okay.
So I wanted to switch to Ankara fabrics. And then I just shared the idea with him. And I was like, I just have this idea. I could start making nursing covers, but it's going to be our Ankara fabric. And he looked very uninterested. But I just didn't even take a second thought at it. But then 3 days later, he comes home with a brand new sewing machine. And I was like, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the reaction. And I was wondering, okay, so you don't have any excuse anyway. I mean, that's basically what it was. So I got the sewing machine and I just had the idea. I didn't know how to use the sewing machine. So the first thing was definitely you have to learn how to use the sewing machine.
You didn't even
so
know
my first
know.
I didn't know how to. No.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
No. Yeah. So the first call was, okay, I have to look for where to go to sew. First, the first point of call were my friends, and I was like, I just got a sewing machine. Can you teach me how to sew? And they were like, it's hard. And this is one thing you need to realize. I don't see anything as failure. People talk about failure a lot. Failure for me is a part of life. If you do not fail, you wouldn't find other ways to do things that you would have. I don't know, you get the idea. You have to fail. It's normal, because some people see failure as the end of life. I see it as a way of learning to do new things. So I talked to my friends and they were like, it's hard. And truly speaking, people are going to advise you based on what they've been through. Or if it's hard for me, I'm not going to tell you it's easy. I'm going to tell you it's hard. So I'd been hearing, oh, it's hard. And I heard from first, the second, the third, but I wasn't going to give up. So I decided, okay, you know what, maybe it's because I'm going to my friends and it seemed like it's going to be free. Let me go outside and I don't mind paying for this service. And then I went to the first person. I said, oh, I want to learn how to sew. And you know the funny thing, they just looked at me from head to toe and they said, we're not teaching you. Well, I just said, okay, maybe. I know the worst thing is you probably will see like an advert outside saying they were teaching or they were taking people. So I left the first place and I went to the second place and I asked, oh, I would like to learn. And then they looked at me from top to bottom and they said, no, we're not teaching. When I got to the third place and it was exactly the same, I started to get worried. I was beginning to think, is it that there's something they're seeing in me that I'm not seeing? What's the problem? Why wouldn't they want to teach me? So it was both from that anger, frustration. I decided, you know what? I will go and learn this thing myself. I mean, it was a human being that made it. What's the worst that can happen? Trust me. The needles that entered my hands, I can't count. But I was determined. That for me wasn't, I knew And that's one thing that I keep telling people. If you have a dream, you are the only person that can kill that dream. Oh, but my mom was saying, my dad was there's no external force that can deter you. You are your biggest enemy. You're your biggest cheerleader. So you have to decide which one you want to be. And so I just, you know what? And then as I get in the hang of it, if I tell you the silly mistakes that I made, that right now, if I think back, I just laugh at myself, but I'm happy because I was able to go through those processes. And then thank God for YouTube University. I'm a graduate of YouTube University. Yeah. So I would go to YouTube. And the funny thing is, I would search for specifics. This is exactly what I'm looking for. And then I would search and search and search, and I wouldn't find it. Then I'll just go back and, I'll just maneuver my way, and then I'll find it. Guess what's going to happen? The very next day I go to YouTube, you just see that somebody uploaded this thing 5 hours ago. And I'm like, what's happening? Do I have to always go through? Yeah?
I want to.
You want to say something?
Yeah, I want to pause right here and say,
okay.
I know so many people who would call this a challenge. I know so many people who would have stopped.
Yeah.
So you had a vision, you had a passion.
Yeah.
And you didn't even know how to sew.
No, I didn't.
So I'm an educator, and I get students who say, oh, I can't learn that. I can't do that. Or you're not teaching me right. And I'm always saying, drive your own bus. Like, you're in charge of your life. I can't feed you and then for you to like somehow be able to speak English. If you don't practice it with your mouth, you can't learn to speak English. So I just want to say you are the embodiment of mindset growth, because you just taught yourself. And I have my media manager, he laughs at me. He's like, you just tell people, go out there and learn it. You want that skill, go get it. And I'm like, yeah, but so many people do not have that attitude. And so I am so impressed. You're like, I just have to compliment you there.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you
I didn't get that. You said something I didn't hear.
You learned how to sew from YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, from YouTube. Yeah. So from YouTube, I just started checking the simplest things that I could find. I know because I want to learn, it didn't mean that because I had a big dream, I should be afraid to start small. That's another mistake some people make. Oh, because I'm aiming for $1 million, I have to get it within 5 days. You have to map out something and then let me start small and then I'll begin to grow from there. So I started with little projects. And guess what one of my little projects was? A shirt.
Okay.
Like a shirt. Okay. A shirt for my son. And it came out perfect.
Aww.
So now this is something about me that I used to think it was actually that easy for everybody, but I realized it was a gift. And if I hadn't pushed myself to that point, I never would have realized it. So one thing is this, we say, oh, before we even started, we've already condemned ourselves. We've already said, you know what, I cannot do this. And if that's the mindset that you have, you will never do anything. So I just kept pushing and pushing. And from there, I started with all those. And, one way or the other, I would just find myself. And I have something in me. If there's something in my head that I want to do, if I have not done it, I am not going to feel comfortable. So I'm just going to keep going about, and I'll be dreaming about it. I'll be until I do it. And once I do it, I'm satisfied. That's why I say there's no such thing as failure where I am. The fact that I decided to set out to do something, it doesn't matter that maybe the outcome I was looking for, I didn't get it. I came out to do it and I did it. I'm successful now. I mean, that's that. I can't define success as anything else but that. I decided to stand up, I decided to do it, and I did it. the results irrespective, I did it. And that matters to me more than anything.
I want to acknowledge something else. So you're on Mindset News. You're on the perfect station. You're like a walking advertisement for Mindset News. And when I was younger, I kept trying to force myself to get an MBA because you can't make money unless you have an MBA. And I just hated the idea when I was younger. I had to do what I wanted to do. I had to find my passion. And once I found my passion, which was after I got a doctoral degree in literacy, then all of a sudden the idea of starting a business or getting an MBA didn't seem like, suddenly I needed the tools to deal with my passion. So, I'm getting an MBA because I love what I'm doing. And how do I run a business? Now I need to know how. It took me a long time to be able to follow my passion in such a way. And I think that's a real lesson to youth, is find your passion, and then through that passion, you'll start a business. And one other thing I wanted to say is that, and I say this often, but one of my missions is to support high caliber individuals in developing nations on their quest to the global stage, because that's where you belong. And there's this kind of misconception out there that, oh, people are in developing nations, they must not be as good as people in the US. And I'm like, have you seen the US lately? So there's nothing about you that doesn't belong on the global stage. I mean, you have all of these, it's not just abilities. You didn't know how to sew. So you taught yourself, you gave yourself the skills you needed to succeed.
Yeah.
That's a walking advertisement for my channel.
Yeah. I know that was okay. So I mentioned that I was going to talk about how we met.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now, there's something I would always say. Your talent will get you to a stage. It will get you to a room. It will get you anywhere, but your character will keep you there.
That's a great
now, so I joined Clubhouse. Yeah, I joined Clubhouse just last month. Trust me, if they told me I'm going to be standing, I'm sitting in front of you and I'll be talking like this, I would say no.
Yeah.
Because this is something that I do, and I do it consciously. When I'm afraid of anything, I always face my fears. For all of my life, for as long as I've been very comfortable before now, just sitting behind the sewing machine. But I've realized that every time I do something, people just have a way of wanting to push me out there. Like, what are you doing? You can't keep yourself inside. You have to go out. Like, just push and push and push me. And if I'm in a hall where there are a lot of people, I will look for the seat where there's a pillar that is going to just block me and cover me from everywhere. That's who I used to be. And then my husband will always
We're having some internet connectivity issues. I think you're saying that your husband encouraged you. I'm sure. You can do it.
And with everything he says, I didn't get that. Yeah. So your biggest enemy or your biggest cheerleader, I have to choose stage, but there was one thing that was holding me back, and it was my fear of public speaking. So that was why I went on Clubhouse. And then I got to Clubhouse just last month. And I made it a point of duty. Whenever I enter the room, the first thing that I would just do is Or if they say introduce yourself, I'll say, my name is Oluwakemi Ohi-Ojebuovboh, and I'm here to get rid of my fear of public speaking. And thankfully, I met with somebody on Clubhouse, and she just, it was like she was asking me, so why don't you want to speak? Why? And then all the questions that she was asking, I already had answers for. So I realized that I was my major, like, okay, now people have been pushing you. You can't talk for me. I have to open my mouth to speak. You can't feed me with, oh, okay, so I have all of this knowledge, everything you're going to say about public speaking. Now, I know I can write a book on public speaking, but I cannot speak. So this was a situation of, it was a case of physician, heal thyself. If you tell me to write a book on public speaking, I will write it. But for me to speak, it was a major problem. And I was wondering why. And the why is, it was just fear of nothing. Nothing. What exactly are you afraid of? Okay, so I'm going to open my mouth and people are going to laugh. Yeah, so they laugh. So what? If they laugh, it doesn't make you shorter. If they laugh, it doesn't make you less knowledgeable than you already are. So what exactly are you afraid of? Just push yourself out. Now, I had an iPhone, so my sister didn't have an iPhone, and I had invites. I just called her up and I said, you know what? I have some invites from Clubhouse. And then she just mentioned 2 people and said I should please reserve the invites for them. I didn't even take a second thought. It was her. And then I just kept the invites. So the first person joined almost immediately because they had an iPhone. The other person had an NGO. And it was about female genital, the FGM thing. So she just called me up. My sister just called me up like one night. I was already almost asleep. And she said, oh, do I remember the invite she talked about? Do I still have it? I said, yes. She said that person needs it desperately, that she had a connection with United Nations and they needed her to be on Clubhouse and she didn't have an iPhone. And I was like, okay, no problem. And then the next day she got an iPhone, and while she was getting the iPhone, she was calling me every step of the way, asking me how should she do it. So she was supposed to have a 7 o'clock meeting on Clubhouse. I was with her from like 6 p.m. till 7, just teaching her the ropes. Like, don't worry, you're going to be fine. Just go there, see what you have to say. It's not a big deal, and all of that. So that room that I met you in was the room she was preparing for. Then she sent me a message again, like me being there was just like a form of support. I was just in the room. Like she said, since she's going to be speaking, she would want me to be in the room. And I said, oh, no problem. In fact, I was like 2 or 3 minutes late and I was saying, I'm sorry, don't worry, I'm going there now. And I was there. And I showed up. Now, how would I ever have imagined small as that could have connected me to you? So in fact, when you said you met me in that room, I was wondering, I had to rethink. So now I'm going to ask you because I've been wondering. I had to think like, why did she pick me? Because I was even in the audience. I wasn't on stage. So I was wondering how you were able to single me out and then send me a message like you wanted me to be here. So when you said you wanted me to be on your channel, I just checked your page and I was wowed. Mindset, that is one thing that I've been motivated by a 3-year-old before, and I put it on my pages there. Like, she's just saying, just do it. So anything that has to do with the renewing of the mind, anything that has to do with you just get up and get out, anything that has to do with you can do it. I just realized that that's one of the things that I'm really passionate about. I had a friend, and he used to say, oh, once he finishes school, he's going to be working for an oil company. And then he was ready. So he was always ringing it in my ears. And I just didn't see anything. And then I had a business then. And I told him, okay, you know what? Can you just be handling deliveries for me? And you know that from handling deliveries for me, he now has like 4 delivery bikes. He has his own company. He's not even going to dream of saying, in fact, when it comes to, oh, okay, let me go and look for a job outside, he just rolls his eyes. He's not thinking about that anymore. So there's so much that is embedded in us, and we just need to push it out. You can listen to all the motivational speakers in this world. There's nothing they want to tell you that you don't already know. Everything they've told you, you've heard it over and over and over again. You should realize by this time that you are the one holding yourself back. You need to just stop. If we're looking for excuses, every human being on the surface of this earth has excuses not to do what they're doing. We all have excuses. But if you push yourself beyond those excuses, you are not just going to fly, you will soar higher and higher, like into the clouds. They say the clouds is the, how do they put it? The cloud would be your beginning. It's not even going to be, it's going to be where you're just starting, and then you just keep flying higher and higher.
You've said so much that is so central to my existence. And I want to go back and say, I wish, I think you're a lot younger than me, but when I was very encumbered and felt like I couldn't do things when I was younger. I knew I could study, and I knew I loved school, and I've pretty much lived in universities my whole life, but I wouldn't have started my own business. And when COVID hit, I was supposed to go to Iraq to speak at a think tank. I was supposed to go to Macedonia. I was supposed to go all these places. And then all of a sudden I was just in my office. And I was like, finally, I said, it doesn't have to be perfect right now because of COVID. The whole world needs education, and the whole world needs to be inspired to continue their education. When COVID hit, I finally said to myself, it doesn't need to be perfect. I just need to do it. Took me 52 years. Took me 52 years to get to that.
Wow.
I wish I had met you when I was a lot younger, but you know.
No, that's truly inspiring. And you know, your story, what your story just says is, it doesn't matter your age. Because you're saying you're 52, some people are like 45 and they're thinking their lives are over. Now you can easily tell them, do you know how old I am? And immediately they just pick themselves up. And that's what I've realized about our stories. Our stories are unique to us. And then we have the kind of unique audiences that once we open our mouths, it's just going to hit. Like once we, for me, I'm 35, I'm going to be 36 this year. And I have seen people 23 years old that will make me feel, where have I been? Like, have I been living under a rock? But for me, really, it's not about the age. It's never about the age. And that's why I said, you just have to start.
And it's not about,
because even the age factor.
It's also not about the continent you're on or the country that you're in.
It's
not about your native language. It's not about your gender. It's not about the bad things that have happened to you. You know, it's about overcoming. It's about everything that you've said for the last 20 minutes. It's just amazing. We were supposed to meet, and we were supposed to meet now, not 20 years ago. Is your point? And I don't. I remember. So the room that we were in, I was messaging the person who was in charge of that room. And I was saying the issue of FGM, it needs more awareness, and I want to spread awareness. So I have scheduled other interviews about FGM, and I'll go into that later. But I knew, for some reason, I knew that you were one of those central people that was a part of the origin of that room. And I don't know why I knew that. But I mean, you know what? When it's possible to travel, I want to come and meet you.
Yeah.
We'll have a good time.
Yeah, we will. We will. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if I can summarize everything that we have said. And I'd love to, next time I want to show pictures of your products because they're just gorgeous. And I was trying to download them from Instagram, but Instagram wasn't letting me. But when I started looking at the products that you have, it was just, I mean, it's amazing stuff. And I have to tell you, I have a lot of colleagues or acquaintances in Nigeria and in 32 different countries in Africa. And a lot of them give me a lot of excuses as to why they haven't started anything. And but it's not just about a country or a continent. I mean, there are a lot of people in the US and in China that have these excuses. And you just don't have any excuses for yourself. It's wonderful.
Mm.
And so one of the parts about business that you did touch on that deserves another minute is you had this idea for the business and you were starting it, but then you had to ask yourself the question, why are people going to care about my products? What is going to be different about your line, PB Essentials, from anybody else's? And you chose fabrics that were unique to you.
Yeah.
And that's an important part about business. What's different about you than the other guys that are out there?
Yeah.
And you found it, and it's about you. It's about a part of your identity. It's not, you didn't choose Icelandic fabric.
No.
All right, so we're kind of running at the half-hour mark, and I'm wondering, are there any last bits of advice that you have for our scared viewers out there?
Okay, so I think I've touched on it, but if I have to repeat it another way, it will be that you are perfect just as you are. You are beautiful, you are strong, you can do anything that you put your mind to. You are your biggest enemy, you're your biggest cheerleader. Those two things should always ring in your head. So whenever you're doing anything, realize if you're helping yourself or you're maiming yourself. So that's it. Just do it.
Well, I'm going to try to say your name again, and it's Oluwakemi.
Yeah, I'll. It's better, so I'll let it go. But yeah,
improve step by step.
It's a lot better now. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for your patience with that, and I'm really happy to have had you here today, and I hope you'll come back and see us again.
Most definitely, I will. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Bye.